Thank you for joining us today. Guys, we're joined by Abbigale, who is all the way from Canada. So we're over here in the UK. So across the seas, you want to introduce yourself to the people and just give them an idea of who you are and what you do?
Sure. I'm Abbigale. I am the web designer and brand strategist for BOGC Designs, which stands for Be of Good Comfort Design Studio. I help purpose-driven entrepreneurs. In my definition, what a purpose-driven entrepreneur is an organization or an entrepreneur who uses their skills, talents, and gifts or resources to help in the betterment of others and their community. So those are the type of people I want to serve.
Amazing. And that's right in line with the Purpose platform. So we're so glad to have you join us today. And we've got so much to unpack because you're a bowl full of gems. You've got your own entrepreneurship journey, but then you've also got so much information and just gems to share with us about branding strategies and marketing and web design. So really looking forward to getting into this conversation with you today. Why don't we start at the beginning of your journey? So take us back in terms of where did it all begin with web design, branding, entrepreneurship?
Okay, so let's see. All right, so I went to school for marketing and advertising. And when I left school, I was faced with a catch-22. So, you know, companies want you to have experience, but yet they won't hire you if you don't have experience. So I remember I was on a Christian radio station and they were talking about, you know, people who are looking for employment and who are probably, you know, going through some hard times. And I remember I had called in and the program was almost finished. And I said, what are the odds that I would get on? And then I was the last caller that was on the line. And so I got to tell my story, you know, that I just recently graduated from school and that, you know, I couldn't find employment because of the catch-22 situation. And they told me, you know, give us your email address and somebody, you know, maybe somebody who's listening who may need your services and contact you. So the next day, somebody did contact me from the radio station, and it was an international charity. So that was a great experience to start working with that international charity and get that opportunity to help her with her branding. And that was my start initially, I would say. For Be of Good Comfort, I started that company about 2015. Before that, the company was a little bit different. So I've always been a creative person. So before that, I was creating different designs for people who I knew, like people who did like sermons or other entrepreneurs that I knew from my church. I would do flyer designs for them and whatnot. And they loved it so much that people kept encouraging me to start a business doing this. And I'm like, I never even thought about it at first. But I really prayed about it. And, you know, the idea stuck with me in my mind that, you know, maybe I could turn this into a business. But I didn't start the business yet at that time. An experience that I had after a while when I had graduated, and I did end up landing a job in advertisement and working in corporate advertising and marketing. I found that I had to compromise a lot on my faith. I had to work on certain client assignments that I didn't agree with their messaging. I didn't agree with their motives. And it didn't sit well with me in my spirit. So I remember I was praying to God and asking him, okay, there has to be something else that I can do, that I can serve you, and, you know, that will sit right with me. And, you know, it was a tough decision, but I had to leave corporate marketing for that reason. And a couple years later, you know, God gave me Be of Good Comfort to start.
Amazing. So. Amazing. And what was that like tapping into? Because, you know, God gives you signs, God speaks to you, God gives you messages. And, you know, you're in a corporate job. And I know you worked with some amazing brands in that job, like BlackBerry and FedEx. So, you know, it was a really well-established, big-time corporate job. And what was that like for you, hearing God say, okay, this isn't it, go and make the jump. You're like jumping into the unknown. You don't know where you're heading, but you know, okay, God said to do it. And usually we'd be like, okay, God, I heard you, but just say it one more time, a little bit louder so we can be sure, like, you don't just want to make that jump. So how did you actually, stay true to your faith and say, actually, I hear what God's telling me to do, and I'm gonna go ahead and jump? What was that process like?
Yeah, so it definitely was not an easy process. I had a lot of doubts at first, how am I going to make ends meet and all these things, but there's nothing more. One thing that I always like to tell people is that, yes, entrepreneurship is hard, but there's nothing harder than staying at a job that you hate and that makes you miserable.
Yeah.
That is like the biggest motivation.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it definitely took a lot of prayer, a lot of seeking God's counsel through his scriptures and whatnot, just to solidify in my mind that, Abby, this is something that you can do and that you need to do because God has called you to do it. You have to take this for faith.
Mm-hmm. Amazing. And then what was that journey like? So you took the jump, listened to the word, listened to the signs. What was it like for you from stepping out of that corporate job in advertising to now building, remind me, what does it stand for? Because I'll be going by the letters.
Be of Good Comfort Designs.
Be of Good Comfort Designs, because I wasn't going to mess that up. So what was it like then, stepping out of your corporate job and then building your own dynasty, so to speak?
Yes, so like I said, it was very challenging, and it all didn't come into play right away. It really took a couple years for me to build and to fail and then to get back up at it and not give up. So yeah, like I said, the idea of Be a Good Comfort did not come to me right away. It came like several years later. But just taking the time away from corporate to really establish in my mind what it is that I want to do, what are my visions, what are my morals, what are my goals. And if I can't find that in the corporate world where I can work for somebody, then I need to start my own business and do it on my own. Because there's probably customers out there who want to work with somebody who has, the same belief system as them and the same morals as them.
I love that. And I guess that period between leaving and building your own is almost like a soul searching, out of body, you've let go of your standard full-time, what you were used to, and you're now just tapping in like, okay, God, I've done it, what now? And it's like, I always refer to the Steve Harvey, everybody's got to jump video, because he says you got to jump and you've got your parachute, and don't expect the parachute to open right away. You're going to knock your head on some bricks on the way down and graze your knee. What was that period between leaving your job and starting your company? What did that look like if you were going to like rip off the band-aid and go, right guys, it's not a smooth sailing, it takes some failure? Can you give us an idea of what you faced during that time?
Yes. So during that time, I did have to look for, other part-time employment at that time, of course, to, keep things going while I did my business plan, while I was thinking about what it is that I could do with my creative ability. At that time, it was very difficult, but I knew that I couldn't give up. Like I had to make my dreams and my visions a reality somehow. So I used that time strategically to do my research on the industry, to do my research on marketing, branding, and the things that I wanted to get my feet wet in. So I really used that time strategically. It wasn't easy at times financially, of course, but I never like to dwell on the problem. I always try to find a solution, and that's just my outlook in life.
Yeah.
So I really use that time to look for the positives within the negative situation that I was facing at that time.
Amazing. I love that. And that's why you've now successfully built your company and your brand. Give us an idea of that. Where did the name come from? What do you do? How do you service your clients?
Yeah, so the name Be of Good Comfort came from, it was 2 Corinthians 13 verse 11, which says, finally, brethren, farewell, be of good comfort, be of good cheer, be of one mind. Amen. And that really stuck with me because I was feeling very You know, I was feeling frustrated at times. I was feeling anxious at times, you know, not knowing what to do. And this scripture really comforted me during that time when I was in prayer and I was asking God some questions about what I was going through. And then this scripture really stood out to me. And I said, wow, that would be a great name. It really, you know, resonates with me. And I want to use that.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's where the name Be of Good Comfort. That's where the name Be of Good Comfort came from. I just, you know, put the abbreviation of it, BOGC Designs, to shorten it.
Amazing. And what do you do in terms of servicing your clients? So we know you work marketing, branding, web building. Can we dive in a little bit to what does that entail? How does that help? Because we know as entrepreneurs, the main thing an entrepreneur has is an idea. Yes. So they've got a great creative mind and they say, oh, this is a great idea. This is going to be great. And then when it comes to the drawing board and actually getting on the train to drive through that journey of entrepreneurship, you're hit with things like, oh, build a website, branding, marketing. And then that's something that a lot of the times, even speaking for myself, the creative mind isn't able to dissect and execute to perfection. So what can you teach us about that?
Well, you always have to start where you're at, right? If you have a strength in, like, say, copywriting, you know, then work with your strengths. But the things that you're not able to do, and if you're really trying to bring your company, your business to the next level, don't be afraid to outsource that work. Don't be afraid to hire somebody on to help you with the things that you don't have the strength in, right? Oftentimes we feel like we have to do it all. We have to wear all the hats in our company. And that's where we experience burnout a lot of the times. That's where we experience, you know, lack of consistency because we're doing too many things at once and we can't keep up. One thing that I like to tell people as well too is that on this journey, sometimes God is not looking for your strength only. He's looking for your humility, you know, so don't be that person who's afraid to ask for help, right? Because God's not only looking for a strength in a person, he's looking for the humility to be able to ask for help and even be that help when that time comes for you.
Amen. Amen. I love that. Guys, any questions that you have for Abbigale, remember, just drop them in the chat whilst we're speaking and I'm going to visit them. I'm going to have a look at what we've got so far. And that can be questions just about her entrepreneurship journey or questions about branding, marketing, web design. So we have lots of hays in here. Hey, everybody. Thanks for tuning in. We've got some looking lovelies. Got your beautiful Abbigale. Take it all in. Take it all in. We have lots of claps and agreement just with what you were saying. Some more highs in here. Can we talk about it? Hey, how are you? Some 100, some claps. Yes to finding solutions. Got some agreement in there on that. Thumbs up, 100s, claps, claps. Amazing. Thank you, guys. Any questions you have, feel free to drop them in and I will come back to visit them for us. So, oh, wait, we've got one here, actually. Do you provide writing support?
Oh, hey, Jody. Yes, writing support such as copywriting. I don't necessarily provide the copywriting for my clients. I more so encourage my clients to have what it is that they want to say. I will help them strategically put what they want to say into place so that it will help to resonate with their audience. But I don't necessarily do the full-on copy for the clients.
Right, okay. That's really useful to know. With, for example, marketing, I think a lot of the strength behind the brand is behind the marketing. What would you say are your 3 key top tips to successfully marketing a brand or a product? What should we be looking for? What should we be putting out there? How would you say, right, if you want your marketing to hit, this is what you need to do. This is who you need to target.
Okay. I just made a little bit of notes so I can remember the things I wanted to say. One thing that I wanted to make sure that I add when it comes to your branding, always remember that your brand will enter the room before your body does, right? So you have to make sure that every piece of content that you put out is something that's going to reflect your company or reflect you as an individual. Because you never know who will see that piece of work, right? And it will resonate with them. Exactly. So that's one piece of advice that I would like to give. Another piece of advice that I'd like to give when it comes to your branding and marketing is to be consistent. You know, oftentimes it feels like, you know, people are not seeing what I'm posting, people are not resonating with what I'm putting out there, but people are watching, right? So always remain consistent in what you're doing, because the opportunity will come where somebody reaches out to you because they have been watching you for a while. And in marketing, it's known that it takes your prospective customer about 7 times hearing your marketing message before they take action on a message that you have put out. So be consistent, definitely be consistent. Another thing would be to another thing I guess would be to, when it comes to your branding, is to just be true to who you are. Don't do what you think people want to see. Don't only do what you think people want to see. Be true to who you are. And because people are going to resonate with that. Like, for example, there are a million website designers. There are a million people who do what I do. But what sets you apart from them, right? People resonate with your story. So make sure that, you know, your story is true to who you are, and don't be afraid to share that, because that might be the one thing that makes someone choose you over another business.
Else. Definitely your story and your USP, because I've always said people by people, and that's popular and commonly known. And it's true, you can go pretty much anywhere for anything these days. You know, it's highly unlikely you're the only person offering what you're offering. But I think there's a certain level of credibility in authenticity and being transparent and being relatable, because especially now in the day of the internet, you can tap into anyone, anywhere, doing anything. Is more than just, you know, back in the day. And I say back in the day, this is maybe like 5 years ago, not even, it's making now me feel a bit old. But it's like, you would only have the advert between the TV program you're watching. You wouldn't have, you know, a social media or on Instagram or even websites. I mean, you can probably attest to this or correct me if I'm wrong, but websites weren't so popular, and generally, like, everyone didn't have a website 5 years ago. It wasn't the go-to thing. You could happily float with having your number. In the UK, we have the Yellow Pages, which is like a book of businesses and numbers and things like that. It might be different over in Canada, but that's
we have that.
You've got Yellow Pages as well. And then that's literally all you had. So now I think it's actually better. I think it's a pro that you can literally sell yourself and your products directly to your consumer via things like social media or just websites in general. There's so much you can pack and so much information. And I feel like the guidelines are wider. How do you feel about the guidelines? Because before, it'd be like very strict. You know, like, this is what your website should look like. You should come across this way, professional, such and such. But because people are buying people, have you noticed the trend in the guidelines widening at all?
Well, I see more websites these days as a creative outlet. Not necessarily just to be, you know, cookie cutter. It's more of a way to express the individuality of your business. So, you know, I find a lot of clients now and a lot of people who are looking for something that's different. You know, they're looking for something that's creative yet strategic, right? Not just cookie cutter, not just a whole bunch of information and words, but pictures and different things, showing your experiences and showing, you know, different things about the company, the life behind the company, the persons behind the company.
Amazing. And if you could give, for instance, say 3 tips on what maybe someone watching could incorporate on their website to steer away from that cookie cutter kind of demographic, what would you say? What is warming, or what can help with a brand getting their message out or their personality out via their website?
I would say, for one, know your audience, because that way you'll know how to speak to them on your website. For example, if your audience is a younger generation, you might use jargons or slogans that might relate to them on your website and in the content that you share on social media. So knowing your audience is very important for you to strategically tailor your message to relate to that audience. Another thing for websites would be to have beautiful images, have professional images. Don't just do the bare minimum and use your cell phone and take a picture.
Yeah.
That doesn't cut it these days anymore.
It's so common as well.
Yes, especially if you're really trying to push your business and to position yourself as an expert in your field. Invest in getting quality photos for your website and for your branding. Another thing would be to utilize the most recent apps or different things that your audience might need to use. Even if it's like having forms on your website or having carousel pictures on your website, having something different that makes your site unique is another thing that will help to set your website apart from all the others in your industry.
Yeah, no, that's brilliant. That's some amazing advice. And what would you say about building, say, like an email list or a database for potential clients, customers, consumers of any kind? Would you say having a website and building your own database is the best way to go about that? Or what have you noticed sort of in your industry? What would be the best way outside of, say, having one platform like Instagram or Facebook, outside of that one platform, to collect customer database and details?
Okay. It is vital these days to have a some way on your website that you can capture email addresses or capture those who are visiting your site, whether it's through having a Google app on your website where you can see where people are visiting from and how long they're on your site for and what their demographics are. That is very important too, so you can see different ways that you can market to those people. Also, it's important to have the email list on your website because social media is not going to be around forever, and you don't own social media. So if it was to collapse tomorrow, you would lose your how many thousands of subscribers and not have any access to them, right? So if you have an email list now, then you have them in your possession. You can reach out to them whenever you feel the need to, instead of relying on this platform, social media platform, to do so.
Amazing. That is really good advice. And actually, I think it's been seen before because Instagram or any platform has so much control over your page and your business if you're running it through their platform. So I think that is very powerful. What should us as business owners or service providers, or maybe whoever's kind of tuned in and considering building an email list, what should they consider in terms of privacy? I know in the UK we have something called GDPR, which is throughout Europe, and it's almost basically like data protection. It's a lot more strict. So what should we be considering when we're collecting information from potential clients through our websites?
Yes, the important thing is to always make sure that you seek their permission before you add them to your email list. Don't just add a whole bunch of people that you know to your email list. They have to have given your permission and as per the guidelines. A lot of companies these days on their email list, they have like a double opt-in, just to make sure that the person knows what they're opting into and that they're giving their consent. And they know that they're giving their consent because they're doing it twice to your email list. Yes, so definitely getting the permission is there, definitely vital.
Amazing.
Yes.
I think we have a question through here. Do you think it matters if you're not the face of your brand when starting a business or a platform? I'll let you go next.
Okay, so I can speak to this. So before I rebranded, so I recently rebranded my business about a month and a half ago now. And before that, my brand was a lot different and I was not the face of it. Like, I only would post my work. I would post encouraging things, but I never posted any pictures of myself. And I found that my audience didn't really have an opportunity to really see who was behind the brand, who was the person they were speaking to through the comments or through the emails. And I guess what was holding me back from that was the silliest thing, fear, maybe, you know, people judging you and not liking what you look like. Really silly things when I think about it now. But these things were holding me back from really putting myself out there and being the face of my brand. And it wasn't until I really decided that I want to take my business more seriously. I want a certain type of impact and I want a certain type of success with my business. I have to do something different, right, to get a different result. So I said, this time around, I want to be the face of my business. I want to put myself out there, and that makes me more accountable because now you see who you're dealing with. Yes, so I want to put myself out there and actually be the face of the company. And I found that that has helped my business. People were able to relate to me, and I found that I got more different companies wanting to either work with me somehow or feature me on their page because they see the face behind the brand. They see who they're behind the brand. So I definitely think it's an important aspect to really think about, to put yourself out there as the face of the brand. I guess with some businesses it might not be as important. Like for example, if you're doing like a big t-shirt company or whatnot, and there might be multiple people helping you with the company, maybe it might not be as vital to put your face out there. But if you are the person that people are dealing with face to face through emails or whatever it may be, then I would say it's a good idea to let people know who they're working with, and so they can see you and relate to you more.
I would agree. I was going to say the same thing, just to touch on a bit to your point in the end, with if the customer or the client is dealing directly with you, it is really helpful. I would say to judge it loosely, because I guess you can put your face behind your brand irrespective of what your brand is. But I think if it's a more product focused brand, you'd more so get away with not including yourself in the brand marketing, in the brand outlet, because they're interested in your products, whether that might be clothing, like you said, accessories, you know, hair, it could be anything. But if you're offering a service or building a platform or anything that you may be dealing with people face to face, or people are buying you as a person or your story, it's definitely really useful, I think, to have your face and your personality behind the brand. I feel like you can probably get away with it either way. It goes back to what you said about knowing like your following. But I think I would definitely agree with what you said in terms of, it was interesting to hear that with your face behind your brand, you had more positive results. So I think, that helps. I hope that helped. Send that question in. Jade, I hope that helped. What would you say is the most challenging part, touching back on your entrepreneur journey, what would you say is the most challenging part to keeping your, or not even specifically just for you, but to keeping a business afloat as an entrepreneur? So, you know, you don't have HR behind you, corporate behind you, these big brands behind you, maybe that you may have previously been working with because you're now going out at it on your own. What would you say is the most challenging part?
Definitely not being, the most challenging part is dealing with fear that you might face along the way. That definitely will come. You know, fear of the unknown. You're stepping into the unknown, basically. You know, you don't know where your next client is going to be coming from. You don't know where your next paycheck will be coming from and whatnot. So dealing with that fear is something that you really need to nip in the butt, because it can really hold you back a lot. And I've experienced that, where the fear really holds you back, and it kind of cripples you in a way, you know. So definitely finding ways to deal with that, whether that might be affirmations, or that may be seeking counsel from a business counselor or whatnot. Definitely make sure that you have the confidence that you need to go forward, to know that you can do this, just to really make sure that your mind is on right. Your mindset is right going into this journey. because it's not an easy journey. There are times where it's up and downs. There are times where there are successes and failures. But you have to know that you have a purpose, you know, and what is my purpose in my business? What is the purpose of what I want to put out there for others to see or to help others? You have to believe in your vision, because nobody else will if you don't believe in it.
If you
right?
don't,
So that has to be the thing that keeps you going, your vision, your goals, your...
Amazing. And you gave us a really great definition of your account and view of what purpose is. Where does your belief and hunger come from with respect to purpose? How was that? When was that ignited in you?
Just really over time, it really developed. It really sat with me. When I was doing my business before my rebrand, I would work with basically any customer that came to me who had the finances to pay me. And I realized that it wasn't as fulfilling. I would have to work with some clients again where maybe I didn't enjoy the work, or I didn't enjoy you know, their services or what they were doing. And not saying that you always have to agree with everything your customer is doing, but for me personally, I want to feel a connection to the work that I'm doing. So I decided that, you know, at this time around, I want to focus on companies that I value their work and I value their message, because they're trying to help others, and that's necessarily what I want to do. I want to help them to help others. So that's what I want to focus on, not just to take anybody because they can pay me, but to really help those who were trying to do something to help others. And I think that really is more fulfilling to me personally.
Amazing. And what advice would you give in terms of overcoming obstacles and staying, you know, resilience? I think is probably something that quite clearly explains what is needed in terms of succeeding as an entrepreneur. So how do you stay resilient? How do you overcome the days that you just feel like, I don't want to do this anymore, I don't want this responsibility? What do you say to yourself, or what action do you take?
Yes. So with that, I would say that goes along the line of being consistent and facing your fears in business, because you might get a no in business and you might get yeses, but having a foundation of why you're doing your business and having a solid foundation in who you are and your values will determine how you handle that no. Some entrepreneurs might give up right after that no and not keep pushing to the point where they can hear a yes, or they can see their vision become reality, but they give up too soon because of, you know, they don't have what it takes to like hear no's and keep going. Definitely remaining consistent, knowing your purpose is very important. And so how you find your purpose is you really have to sit with yourself and say, what are my goals? What are my aspirations? What are my visions? And what are the things that I want to achieve? And what do I believe in? And how can I serve others with these things that I want to do? And that will really help you to develop your purpose, along with seeking God and asking him what your purpose is. Like in Jeremiah, he says, you know, before he formed you in your mother's womb, he ordained you and gave you a purpose. So you have to seek him to really know what that purpose is for your life.
Amen to that. I think your signal might be dropping slightly unless it's on my end.
Is it cutting out?
Can you guys, that's slightly better. Can you guys see and hear Abby properly? Just drop me a line and let me know. It looks like it's slightly better now. It just kind of went a bit blurry. I didn't want to cut you, and we caught the message anyway, so that was fine. Amazing. Another question I have for you is, now that you've found, do you feel now your full purpose has been revealed to you? Do you feel like you're living in your purpose now?
I feel a lot more fulfilled. I do believe that there is more room to grow. There are a lot of visions and ideas that I haven't birthed yet, that haven't birthed in me yet. So I'm confident in where I am now and what the future holds for me. But I know that there's always room for improvement, and I'm so ready to just grow and learn more as I go.
As you go. Amazing. Because the other question I had for you is, do you find your now, so where you're at now, do you find that little parts of your history have played a part into where you are now? Like, you're like, oh, I picked this up when I used to work there, or I remember when I was in this current situation and this is how it's helped. Are things starting to come together for you now? Is it almost like a puzzle that is now coming together? Have you experienced that, or what's your view on that?
Yes, definitely. I always try to seek out what I can learn from every situation, even if it's not a good situation. So I do see that a lot of the things that I have learned in the corporate world are now benefiting my clients now in my business. And I'm great. I'm so grateful for my experience in the corporate world. I'm so grateful for my my school experience in marketing and advertising, because that has really helped me now to step out and to work on my own within the space.
Amazing. I think I saw a question in here, so let me try and pull it up. Here we go. When starting out, how did you decide on a target audience?
On a target audience, let's see. So when I first started out, my target audience was mainly churches and ministries and people within that space, within that group. And it was a great group, but I found that I wanted to do more than just focus on churches. I didn't want to just be a website designer for churches or branding for churches only. I want to help people on a broader scale. So for example, like charities and people who are doing things to help others. So in order to find your target audience, you have to see the type of people that you want to work with. What type of people do you enjoy working with? What type of people would need your services, your particular services? And those things will help you to determine who your target audience should be. And, you might not have one target audience. You might have a few. So just keep that in mind too, that you might have a few different people who your services meet, but ultimately try to narrow it down as far as you can to target it all the way down to like maybe 2 groups or 2 or 3 groups of individuals. Yeah. Amazing.
And I think it kind of ties into what you said earlier on when you were saying you had to kind of work with a few groups of people that, it wasn't serving you. So now if you were, for example, approached by maybe a company or an individual that you don't feel now fits into your new refined target audience or ideal client base, how do you go about turning away from that? How do you, someone standing there with a check, like, hey, ready for you to work for me. How do you stay true to your ethics and say, actually, I'm not sure this is the project for me? What advice can you give?
So I did experience that recently. I had a company approach me, a boutique approach me. And yes, we did the consultation online. We did the consultation call. And I let them know near the end of the call that, I normally work with companies who are purpose-driven, and I explain to them what that means in my definition and ask them, is there any aspect of your company that does things to help others or to give back somehow to their community? And it was something that they actually didn't think about, but they said, wow, yes, that's something that I would actually like to do. Right. So it's like I sparked something in their mind that they could do broader with their business that they weren't thinking before, and they did become a client of mine.
Amazing.
If that wasn't, thank you. If that wasn't the case and we just were not a good match, I would let them know via email or even phone call that I don't think would be a good match for this project. I could maybe recommend a different designer to you. Or something like that. Remind them, a different designer.
I think that really speaks volumes to staying true to who you are and your ethics, because I think that's a lot of people shy away from that. Maybe they go into a job interview or they're approached with an opportunity by someone they value highly or whatever it might be, and then something occurs that clashes with their own morals or values, and they almost shy away from addressing it, when actually the outcome of addressing it is usually you gain heaps of respect and possibly a great result. So that's powerful. That's really, really powerful. Thank you for sharing that. That's amazing. Guys, if you have any more questions for Abbigale, please just drop them in the chat. Whilst we're kind of wrapping up and signing off, what would you leave us with here today, Abbigale? If you could just leave us with, you know, a word of wisdom. I think maybe one, you know, word of wisdom saying purpose-filled, Abbigale-esque statement. What would it be?
Well, there are a few that I can think about. One of them is to always make sure that you're serving your market before you sell to them. Don't just go on your social media and put a whole bunch of call to actions on every post, but show people that you actually care about their business, you care about them as individuals. And that's the approach that I decided to take this time around in my business. Not just posting my work with a call to action, but really putting out content there that really shows prospective clients that, you know, I care about your business. I care about you as an individual and your mindset, and you know, teach them in that way so that I can build them up to being the entrepreneur that they need to be, regardless if they work with me or not. But that's the approach that I chose to take this time around. So I would definitely say serve before you sell. Don't expect to just receive without giving back to your audience, right? Give them more than they're gonna, you know, than they need. Exactly. Feed them more than they're gonna need. I did write down something I wanted to say. I wanted to also mention that real entrepreneurship is a selfless act. Don't approach it with the well, you have to approach entrepreneurship with the mindset that I'm going to serve, like what I was playing on to what I was saying, that I'm going to serve others and not just receive. Try to see how you can use your skills and your gifts to help them, help them with whatever it may be. Ultimately, that is your goal, service provider, to help alleviate the problem. So find out what the problem is that your audience is having and how you can best serve that and best meet their needs. Even if that means that you might have to tweak some of your services or some of your offers to meet the needs of your clients, but that's just the part of growing in your business, right? You might, don't be so set in what you offer. Don't be so set in your pricing. Well, I'll explain that in a second. Don't be so set in that. Have room to grow as well in your business. Pricing can sometimes be an issue for a lot of entrepreneurs. You know, what should I price my business as? But you have to really see the value that you're providing for your clients, right? And you have to be able to articulate that value to them for them to see your worth as a business owner, right? Don't just put like a big price down and expect people to just flock you. You have to really take time to build those relationships online and build trust. People buy from who they trust, right? So you have to, you know, spend time building trust online, building credibility online, and positioning yourself as an expert within your field.
That is a word. That is a word. Yeah, I completely agree with that, because it's like tying into what we were saying earlier about there are so many people offering what you're offering. So whilst even selling yourself as a person as part of your brand, it's just building that trust and relationship too, that they feel confident buying from you, or that they don't feel like they're just a target, like, hey, buy. I think that's super powerful. That is a great message. That is a really, really good message. I did see. So we've got some Hayes, light of the world. Hey, how are you? Amazing. So if our guests today want to find you, Abby, well, in fact, before that, because you're so knowledge-filled, purpose-filled, is there anything I haven't asked you today that you want to get off of your chest or that you want to share? I'm opening the floor to you now. It's Abbigale moment.
I just want to instill the fact into, you know, new entrepreneurs and existing entrepreneurs that being fearful in your business and is something that will come along, but learning how to deal with that fear is very important. You know, don't let fear keep you crippled beneath, you know, what God's vision and goal was for your life. Like I mentioned in Jeremiah, that scripture, that he's already ordained you, he's given you a purpose, and really finding that purpose is something that's very important. So yeah, don't let fear keep you beneath what God has for you. Right? So get over that fear. Even coming on this live, I mentioned to you that I was nervous.
Yeah.
This is my first live.
And it's been good. It's been cool, right?
It has been good.
You smashed it.
I will definitely do it again. Yes, even coming onto this live, I experienced, you know, fear. You know, what if people don't like what you have to say? What if you forget things that you have to say? Which I probably did forget some things that I might want to have said, but you know, just really build yourself up, build up your confidence. Even if it's those affirmations, you know, I am worthy of greatness. I can do this. Whatever it may be. Have a list of affirmations that you can draw on whenever you feel that fear coming in you.
Yeah.
Yeah. Have some affirmations and something positive that you can draw upon to really help you when you're in a tight situation where you're really fearful or whatnot.
Fill your cup. It's like filling your cup, right?
Yes.
So sad I missed most of the chat, but but the little I have caught is so powerful. Thank you so much. Oh, well, babe, you can watch it back. So this will be uploaded to IGTV for the next 24 hours. And then it will go over to our YouTube channel, and the link is in bio, and that's up indefinitely. So you guys can watch this back. You know, there's some great keys and gems that you've shared with us today, Abby. We're so grateful. I'm new in building my... Oh, right. So you're new in building your brand, which is Glam Princess DD. Well, definitely watch this live back then, because Abbigale's shared some amazing tips and keys on when you're just starting out in business and, you know, following your purpose. So definitely watch this back. You'll definitely catch up on the replay. Amazing. Abbigale, if the guys want to find you, where can they find you? Drop us your social handles.
You can find me on social media, on Instagram at BOGC Designs, also on Facebook at BOGC Designs, and my website is, you know, www.bogcdesigns.com. So you can send me an email there. Yeah, get in touch with me.
Amazing. And you also assist, so you work globally. So although you're based in Canada, if someone is here in the UK or anywhere in the world, you can still assist them remotely with your services, right?
Yes, I can. I work with everyone all over.
Amazing. So you guys go and check out Abbigale. Her handle is also on all of the posts that we've put out on the run up to this live. So it's been amazing. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. And there we go. Look.